Chapter 8 Forms of Small Business Ownership. One of the most important decisions a prospective entrepreneur or SBO has to make is the form of ownership that has to be adopted. The decision must be clear at the inception of the business. Each form has its own unique character, and the inherent advantages and disadvantages of each must be taken into considerations before the decision is made. Next, this table. This table forms of a business ownership implications on various aspects of a sole proprietorship, partnership, and corporation. Various aspects are liability of owners, ease of expansion, life of form, decision making, taxation of income, ease of formation, and ease of dissolution. The choice would be depend largely on the resources and personal objectives of the prospective owner. The forms of ownerships applicable to small business are sole proprietorship, partnership, and corporations. So the first is sole proprietorship. So what is sole proprietorship? If you're the only owner in your business and haven't formed a business entity, then you are a sole proprietorship. Because as the definition, it is a business owned and operated by a single person. Majority of business are owned by sole proprietors, and is indication of the popularity of this popular form. Most business owners choose this form because of a certain advantages unique to the sole proprietors. Sole proprietorships are afforded with advantages pertaining to the following. The first is the ease and cost of formation. Among the three forms of ownership, the sole proprietorship is the easiest and least costly to establish. The only requisites for its legal existence to commence are the following. For sole owner's resolution to start operating and the getting the required permit and license. There are many activities that the sole proprietor can do which cannot be done in the partnership and corporation setup. This kind of advantage is very important, especially when business are in the fight competitions with one another. The second is secrecy. One way of effectively competing with others is the form of business person to determine the plans as well as the strengths and weaknesses of his competitors. The sole proprietor is ahead of this regard because he has the advantage of keeping his intentions secret. This is possible because he does not have and is not required by law to share the information with anyone. The third is the distribution and use of profits. If because of his efforts, his business makes large profits, the sole proprietor is the sole beneficiary. He does not have to share the profits with anyone. If he decided to invest his profits for expanding his business, he is not required to consult anybody. He may decide to use it when it pleases and he is free to do so. Control of the business. The power to control the business is vested solely to the single proprietor. This authority is very important, especially under critical of competitions. Next, government regulation. The sole proprietorship is paid from the various government rules which cover partnerships and corporations. Also, sole proprietorships are required to submit fewer reports to the government. Sole proprietorships are also spared from the character restrictions on operations. A corporation producing movies, for example, cannot engage in the productions of vegetable crops. In contrast, as a proprietorship manufacturing pastillas de leche can switch in the manufacturing of kitchen utensils without violating any legal regulations. And next is taxation. The net income of the sole proprietorship is regarded as the personal income of the sole owner and is taxed accordingly. Next, closing the business. Sole proprietorship can be dissolved at will. Although this is done only when necessary, it remains an option of the owner. Once of the owners makes a decision to cease operations, it does not need to seek the approval of co-owners or partners because of his the sole owner. So that's all the advantages of sole proprietorships. How about the disadvantages? The first is possibility that the owner lacks ability and experiences. The success of the sole proprietorship will depend largely on the management and entrepreneurial skill of the owner. The firm will need generalists with sufficient exposures to the various specialized functions required, like marketing, production, finance, accounting, personnel, and research and development. Second is difficulty in attracting and keeping good quality employee. The assurance that firm will survive for a long period is not a feature of sole proprietorships. As a consequence, good employees will tend to join a more stable enterprise, which is most of